Heading out on your next adventure soon? Here are 10 travel mistakes to avoid. Hi guys, Chris from Stoked with Travel here, or welcome back to the channel. Now before I get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any video goodness. Now I've been bouncing around the globe since 2009 and I've had some incredible adventures along the way. I've also made my fair share of mistakes and I've had some really bad experiences on the road that I could have definitely avoided. So if you're busy planning your next adventure, here's 10 travel mistakes to avoid so you can make the most of your time, your money, and have the best possible adventure. So yeah, let's jump straight in. So my first travel mistake to avoid is packing too much stuff. Yep, it's really easy to lay your whole life out on your bedroom floor and then take everything and be like, oh, but I might need this and I might need that. The chances are you're not gonna need it. So the old adage of take half the stuff and twice the money definitely rings true. So lay everything you wanna take out on your bed and then basically half it. Be really brutal. Don't pack that dress because you might wear it that one night. Don't pack those extra pair of boardies because you might think you might need a spare pair. Chances are you can pick up a few things along the way if you do find you desperately need them. When I first went traveling, I ended up taking like an 80-litre rucksack. It was way too much, it was heavy, it was cumbersome, and it cost me a whole heap in extra baggage fees as well. Now I travel with mainly hand luggage only, except for my surfboard bag, of course. But usually about a 60-litre rucksack should be more than enough for most adventures around the world. If you are just going on a short week, 2-week excursion, you could try and do hand luggage only on like a 30-40-litre bag. But if you do want those extra bits, if you're bouncing through a few climates, like say from Asia into like an Australian winter or New Zealand, you might need an extra few things and some extra space. But yeah, don't overpack the stuff. You can always pick up more things along the way. Now the other travel mistake to avoid is quite a big one, and that's not saving enough. Now a lot of people definitely underestimate how much traveling can cost, especially when you combine things like flights, travel insurance, and all your big tours and trips along the way. Now from my personal experience, about £1,000 a month is a good average to head for. Places like Southeast Asia are going to cost you a little bit less. Places like Australia, New Zealand, America are going to cost you that little bit more. But it'll average out to about £1,000 a month. Obviously, you can spend a lot less than that if you're, being really frugal on your budget and eating at local restaurants and street food, or you can also completely blow that budget out of the water if you're staying at fancy hotels, eating at fancy restaurants, and drinking a lot. If you do want some more information on budgeting, make sure you check out the links in the description below to all my budget guides. But yeah, make sure you save enough so you're not stressing about it and you have enough of a cushion if things do go wrong as well. But yeah, make sure you save enough cash. Now, alongside not saving enough money to begin with, the other travel mistake to avoid is not researching your costs before you go. So some people, if they land and they'll take like a £40 airport taxi to their hostel when you actually could have got a local bus just as easily for £8. So like those little things really mount up. So do your research before you head to a destination, get a bit of an overview of how much meals cost, how much your transport for your route is, and of course accommodation as well. Those are going to be your 3 big spends. I've got heaps of budgeting advice on my site. Check out the links in the description below for that, covering some awesome destinations. So it's Thailand, Cambodia, Philippines, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, and beyond. So yeah, make sure you check those out. Check out some other websites, but do your research before you go. So another travel mistake to avoid is planning too much. Now I've met heaps of people all across the planet who've just landed in a place and have the next 3 months all scheduled out hour by hour. And there's really not that much fun in that. It's great if you are a little bit OCD or you are set to a smaller time scale and want to make the most of it, but leave yourself some flexibility. You don't want to end up kind of missing out on things because you've already got like a million tours all pre-booked in, or you don't want to kind of be able to stay with your new friends because you've already booked like the next 3 months of hostels. If you are on a short time scale, yes, it does make sense, but if you have a little bit longer, give yourself some flexibility. On the flip side, the other travel mistake to avoid is also planning too little. I've also met a load of people along the way who've completely shot themselves in the foot by not planning enough or doing enough research. There's no point landing in a new country if you have no idea where you're going to stay or what you're going to do. Have at least like kind of the first 2 nights booked, maybe with an airport transfer, so you can land, you can relax, you're not got that stress of suddenly going, oh my God, where am I staying or what am I doing? Also along that lines of planning, visas. They're a very important thing to look into, and a lot of people do make the mistake of not kind of really paying too much attention. For example, you now need an ESTA to even transit through the USA. So that's definitely one you wouldn't want to miss out on, and realize suddenly when you're landing in LA for your connection to, say, Fiji, you suddenly go, oh, actually, I'm not even allowed in the country, and then you get denied boarding. That would absolutely suck. So don't underplan either. Make sure you do your research on your important things. Get those first few nights in each destination booked so you can just relax, and then get on with your adventure. Another one of my top travel mistakes to avoid, and definitely a pet peeve of mine, is traveling too fast. I met so many people recently who just want to cram everything into the shortest amount of time and just pack their itinerary full of things. And that's great if you've only got 2 or 3 weeks of travel. By all means, kind of pack all your top things into your trip and make the most of your time in a destination. But if you do have a little bit longer, slow things down, really enjoy the countries you're visiting, get into the culture, the food, and really explore where you're heading. One of the best examples of this is you chat to people and they're like, oh my God, I've been to like 45 different countries. And then you find out they've done that all in 2 months, and you're kind of like, well, you haven't really traveled them, have you? You've just ticked them off the list and got the stamp in your passport. Slow things down, take your time, really explore a place and get to know it. You'll also find out in terms of budgeting that extending your trip really doesn't add a huge amount to your budget once you figure out the basic daily costs of being in a place, such like your food and your accommodation. When you spread out your big costs like your transport and all your big tours, you'll find that your daily costs can actually be quite low. So somewhere like Cambodia, you might only be spending an extra $5 a day to extend your trip. So, you know, why not go for a month rather than 2 weeks? Australia, yeah, it's a little bit more, but over the whole grand scale of things, it's actually not too bad to extend your trip, to slow things down, take your time, and really enjoy where you're traveling. I've got a really good post on this that has all the theories and the breakdown of budgets and everything, so check out the link in the description below for that. But yeah, make sure you don't travel too fast. Another one of my travel mistakes to avoid is underestimating distances, especially if you're doing a big overland adventure. The best example for this is going to be Australia. People land in Sydney and think, oh yeah, it's quite a small place, I can get all the way up to Cairns in a week. It's massive. Sydney to Cairns is about 2,800 kilometers, and if you do it in a week, you're literally going to spend every hour of your trip on a bus. So yeah, make sure you do your research and don't underestimate the distances between places. It's going to make everything way less stressful, and it's going to make sure your itinerary flows really nicely. It's really easy to figure these things out as well. Just do a bit of Googling, Google Maps. You can easily find out the distances and plan accordingly. So yeah, don't underestimate the distances involved. This travel mistake is a little bit boring, but it's certainly important, and that's waiting too late to get things like vaccination jabs or any medications you need for your trip. So if you regularly take medication, make sure you've got enough time to get hold of everything you need for the duration of your trip. The same goes if you're going to somewhere like Southeast Asia and you might need like yellow fever vaccination, Hep B or something like that, and you might need a series of vaccinations that need to be done over a couple of weeks. Don't just turn up to the doctors 2 days before you go traveling and be like, oh yeah, hit me up with all my jabs. And they're like, hang on a minute, we need to wait a couple of weeks to kind of get your whole thing done. So yeah, do your planning on that, speak to your travel nurse or your GP and plan accordingly. Another travel mistake to avoid is sweating the small stuff. I get it, guys, if you're going traveling for the first time, especially if you're going solo, there's gonna be kind of questions that are weighing on your mind, like, will I meet people? Is it safe? How much money do I need? Have I packed enough? Chill out, take a breath, do your research, and you know, it's really easy to overcome these fears and settle your mind. I've got heaps of advice all over the site, so make sure you check out the links in the description below for things on like fears for traveling, will I meet people, the best way to meet people, budgeting tips. It's really easy to plan and kind of put your mind at ease. So yeah, again, this goes back to planning, guys, but don't sweat the small stuff. Now, my final travel mistake to avoid is not finding out for yourself. When you go to a hostel, you get chatting to people, you're always going to find that one really self-righteous, annoying person who's doing their culturally immersive experience and they now think they're basically a walking lonely planet. They're going to look down at your nose and scoff at you when you say, hey, I'm going to go party the night away on Koh Phangan at full moon party. They're going to be like, ugh, everyone does that. Guys, don't take everyone's advice at face value. Go find out for yourself. It's your life, it's your money, it's your trip. So if you want to go party the night away at full moon, go for it. Don't worry if it's too touristy or anything like that. You want to go learn to scuba dive on Koh Tao, great, go do it. There's a reason a lot of people go and do these things. But also the same goes for other things as well. So like if you want to go do something that no one else you're hanging around with wants to go do, just go and do it. If you really wanted to tick it off your bucket list that bad, don't be afraid to go and find out for yourself. And same with things like East Coast Australia. A lot of people will do the same route other coast. That's absolutely fine. Some people will go off and do WA. That's great. Mix things up. Go find out for yourself. Do your research. It is your trip and your money. So yeah, stick to your guns. Travel for yourself. Make sure you do the things you want to do and don't be put off by everyone else's advice. I know this might sound a bit kind of hypocritical, but also don't listen to travel bloggers all the time, unless they're travel bloggers that share your interests. So for example, I love surfing and beaches and kind of chilled little towns. If you love cities and nightlife, the chances are, if I say go to Byron Bay, it's amazing, you're probably not going to enjoy it as much as someone who surfs or likes the beach. So yeah, if you are looking to kind of travel blogs and travel vloggers for advice, find the people that share your interests. They're going to give you a much better idea of kind of the things you're going to like and not like. But at the end of the day, if you want to go find out for yourself, go and do it. And there you have it, guys. Those are my top travel mistakes to avoid. And the bottom line with all of this is just be prepared. Do your research before you go traveling, get nice and prepared, and then you'll be able to avoid a lot of the pitfalls along the way. And of course, if you want loads of advice on traveling around the world, planning your trip, budgeting, everything like that, make sure you check out the links in the description below. And also check out the rest of my YouTube channel for heaps of reviews and advice. That's it for this week, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.